So me and Paige are planning a trip to go to Portsmouth Island again this year. And last year we had some trouble with wind and tents on the beach and sand spikes. You know, regular tent spikes just aren't secure enough to hold a tent in the sand with heavy winds, and there's very heavy winds out in Portsmouth. And we had to resort to using shopping bags full of sand to tie down the guys to. And it worked pretty well, but we're gonna make some better stakes this year, so it looks a little bit better compared to just garbage bags laying on the beach. So I'm out here in our scrap metal pile, and I'm gonna make some stakes out of some angle iron and some bent rebar type stuff on the sides as little hooks. I was looking at this piece right here. It's pretty big, but I think it'll work. You know, I just hammered it in the sand. I'm gonna put a point on them, hammer them in the sand, so it should work pretty well. Take this piece, and then I was thinking this rod right here, heat it up and bend it into hooks, and then weld it on the back side of the stake like that with a hook, and then you'd hammer it in the ground and put your string or rope onto the hook. Anyway, I'm gonna take these pieces of metal to the shop and start designing some stakes. Okay, so for my stake design, I think what I'm gonna do is, here's my piece of angle iron. There's a line in the middle that would indicate where the bend is. We would cut the angle iron on the ends at a 45 degree for a spike to make them easier to drive in the ground. I don't think it's necessary for the sand that we'll be dealing with in Portsmouth, but maybe at some point I will use these on a different type of ground, like a very soft soil or something. And then I'm gonna tack weld an L onto the back of the spike where it curves out with a hook on it, and I'll heat it up and bend it to make a hook. So pretty simple. I need about 8 of them, I think. We have a Kodiak canvas tent, and it's got tie downs like this. I think 8 on the bottom, and I think just 4, 1 on each corner should suffice. And then as far as, you know, we had to deal with heavy winds, so we're gonna do some down guys from the top on each corner as well, and we'll need some big sand spikes for those too. For these extra spikes here, I think we could probably just use the big stakes that come with the tent. So we'll start off with making 8, sorry. So I think I'm gonna make each spike about 1 foot long. I'm gonna measure that out. I don't think I'm gonna get 8 out of this. I don't think. It might be an 8-foot piece. I don't think so though. I might have to grab another piece of angle iron, which aren't exactly the same size, but it should still work. They're just stakes. They don't have to be perfect. So I'm gonna measure that out and mark it off. And for my round piece of steel that I'm gonna bend into the hooks, I think I'm gonna cut them at 2 inches and bend them right in the middle. See how that turns out. I don't want them too long where it's annoying to actually hook something to them, but I want the hook long enough where it'll, you know, sufficiently hold a rope or string or whatever you're tying to it. So I'm gonna mark that off in 2-inch sections. Now we're gonna cut some steel. And remember, safety first. I look badass in these. Alright, they're extremely hot, but I've got 8 little pieces of bar stock. We'll start cutting the angle iron. Now I'm gonna put my points on my angle iron. Getting there. Alright, now I'm gonna try to bend my hooks. I don't know how well this is gonna turn out, but we'll give it a shot. My torch is a little screwed up. There we go, there's our hook. That worked out pretty well. Alright, so I made 2 of the hooks. If it didn't make sense, now that I've made a hook, I'll show you the spike with the hook. There you go, it's starting to look like an oversized tent stake. It's kind of like the plastic ones that you get at Walmart, but much larger and steel. So I'm going to finish up making the hooks. I've made 2 so far. I'm going to make the rest of them, and then I'm going to tack weld them on there and it'll be done. I'm also going to remove some of the burrs that the chop saw made on here with a file. Now I'm going to remove the sharp edges from the spikes and the hooks on the grinder. Alright, so here's our finished sand spike. Large surface area, you'd hammer it in the ground like this. And then tie your rope or whatever to your hook on the back here. My welds aren't great, but it'll definitely work as a sand spike. I'm probably gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of them and maybe paint them black, and I'll show you them all when I'm done.